Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Good morning. And how do you do? Now, there's no way y'all can say that I'm acting or I have a mask on because guess what? Doing this every day, 24 hours a day, this is who I am because I am joyous, happy, and free. So guess what? Listen, I see people all the time and say, Edwina, you ain't changed. You know what? Changed to what, right? I'm so glad my God chose me this morning to wake up, to be blessed, to have one more day of this fabulous, marvelous, fantastic gift called life. Yes, when I learned how to apply, practice, right? Spiritual principles, tools, and resources to all earthly matters, including me, including you, I am happy, joyous, and free. From recovery, emerge empowered so that we can give hope to others, help others prosper equally. So listen, you see what you see, you get what you get. And I thank God that this vessel now is occupied by the fruit of the Spirit, and it is shown, it's demonstrated, and you cannot fake the funk. Oh, no, no, no. So I thank God that I was chosen to rise this morning. And for that, I'm going to give him the honor, the praise, the glory, the hallelujah, the worship, and the acknowledgement. When I open up my eyes and realize I'm alive, I said, Lord, thank you. Thank you for waking me up this day that I will never, ever, ever see again. Do you feel the same way? Or are you practicing being happy, joyous, and free? Because the more you practice it, the more of a reality it will come for you. It's not an outside job, it's an inside job. When you recognize what he has done for you, what he's going to do for you, and what he has waiting for you. So I thank God I'm on this side of the fence and not that side of the fence, if you know what I mean. Lord, I love you. I love you. I love you. So, in terms of announcements, I want to share with you that my buddy, Don Thomas, Lyric Thomas, and Legacy Thomas will be here next week. They are happy to be coming to Delaware to establish their foundation and relaunching CCC, Community Communications Corporation. They have already been working in the vineyard and asking and soliciting individuals, agencies to promote what's going on in the community, making sure the positive outshine the negative. They will be bringing under the CCC umbrella workshops and TV talk show hosts from various places. They will be bringing she empowerment, he empowerment, also films and documentary on child sex trafficking and addiction, mental illness. Guess what? We are about being of service to let you know that what the world is unlimited in terms of God's creation and what he has planned for us. So life's journey is to go through, to get through, and to come through. And if you have not had your one and only knee bowing experience, keep living. I had mine on February the 22nd of 1990, 3 o'clock in the morning. And if it wasn't for Dr. Benjamin Trimby Brown, the late Dr. Benjamin Trimby Brown, I would not be sitting here before you this day. I thank God for touching him to ask me to help mold and shape me to be your host, for choosing a new way of life, to be your actress, your model in terms of addiction and recovery and how we do recover And so thank you, Dr. Benjamin Trimby Brown, and we welcome the Thomases to our city. Okay? Now, the next announcement I want to make, right, is this one. Okay? Now, I will be going down to the mission, right? The breakfast mission, right? Today. And I will be passing out information cards to let people know at Divine Light we have some openings for our intensive outpatient services as well as our outpatient services, right? We provide assistance to those who suffer from substance abuse disorders. And if you do become one of our clients with this disorder and you are homeless, you will be provided housing 24/7. We use a outpatient module for an inpatient program, okay? And so if you know anybody who is in need of assistance, treatment, and recovery from substance abuse disorders, please send them our way. We're at 1016 Delaware Avenue, Wilmington, Delaware 19806. You can call us at 302-468-4530. Again, we are there Monday through Friday. Our outpatient, intensive outpatient services can be attended on evenings and Saturdays. Our outpatient and inpatient services also provided Monday through Thursday. We have groups from 9 to noon and from 1 to 4. We also provide individual counseling services, okay? Now, we do accept Medicaid only, right? If you have Blue Cross, Blue Shield, Highmark, AmeriHealth, or Delaware First Health, then you are welcome to attend our program, okay? So get the word out. Divine Light shows that you, like me, can recover from our substance abuse disorders. Some of us with other mental challenges, but we do focus on substance abuse disorders, okay? Get the word out. Another thing I want to share with you is because we are growing, and we did hire a part-time clinical supervisor. We did hire a part-time counselor, right? We still need a part-time OOP counselor. We're looking for part-time house managers, and we're looking for a part-time driver as well. And so if you are in need of a job leading to a career, please come see us. The last thing I just want to share with you, and just to remind you how my spiritual resources, principles, and tools have been supported by my church, my pastor, my first lady, Dr. Christopher Allen Bullock, and Dr. Debbie Bullock, Canaan Baptist Church. We meet there every Sunday. And if you've been seeing my Facebook, you know when I go, I can't sit down. The Spirit of the Lord is with me all day, every day. And when I get to my fellowship on Sundays, listen, you'll see what the Spirit does to me, for me, and it is about the Holy Spirit. So just to let you know, out of my 34 plus years in recovery, I've only been affiliated with my religion association for the past 19 going on 20 years. To God be the glory. I also want to share with you that I often talk about the 5 agreements by the Uiz family. And so this is the book that was shown to me when I was in Baltimore, Maryland at Divine Light. And one of the clients was sitting there reading this book. And I was attracted by the color. And then when I got closer, I was attracted by the word spiritual. So anything that's spiritual in nature, I'm attracted to. And so please get a copy of the 5 agreements. The original is the 4 agreements, but there is a 5th agreement by the Uiz family, okay? Number 1, be impeccable with your word. Number 2, don't take anything personal. Number 3, Don't make any assumptions. Number 4, always do your best. And number 5, be skeptical, but learn to listen, right? Many of you hear me talk about my dear mentor, right? Doctor. Oh my God. Yes, a doctor. Yes, she is, right? Miss Sonia Strickland, yes, from P3 Global. When I first was introduced to her, I couldn't keep my eyes off the screen. She too is responsible for me continuing what I'm doing and even challenging me to take my gift to higher heights. So I thank Dr. Sonia Strickland for her contribution in my journey to increase wisdom. All right. So let's get back to our topic for today. I don't think I have any more announcements. And so I just want to share with you one thing that is important for me to say. Listen, there is so many things going on in this world today. And one of the things that I know is being responsible and held accountable and give acknowledgement to our ancestors who have paved the way for many of us of color and women to be accepted, to be recognized, right? To be counted. And so there's an upcoming election coming up on November the 5th. And I just want to say those who are in recovery, those who are ex offenders, and you have found out that you can vote and you should vote, I encourage you to vote. Every vote counts. We are at a turning point in our world today in one way, shape, form, or fashion, which is why I thank God that I've been able to have my one and only knee bearing experience, and that I've had an unlimited amount of spiritual experiences, awakenings, and breakthroughs so that I can contribute to the solution and no longer be a part of the problem. So please exercise your vote and make sure, as Twin will say, it's not about the party, it's about the individual. Okay. And so I just want to lead by example. My mom was here. I took her in her wheelchair and she cast her vote when they had the Martin Luther King rally a few years ago, right? I think it was the 50th anniversary, something like that. I put my mom on in the wheelchair on the train with my grandson, and guess what? We went to Washington, D.C., and was a part of history. And so, all that to say, we need to educate ourselves, and we need to not only think about our children, our future, but we need to think about what we can do now to make a better day for tomorrow. Okay. So that's all I wanted to say. Make sure you get out and vote. Okay. So let's get to our topic for today. All right. So many of you know this is the month of October, and we are focusing on step 10 as well as tradition 10. I shared with you yesterday that the spiritual steps are for a personal transformation that will help to achieve a psychic change in our thinking. Oftentimes, people can use the acronym AA for attitude adjustment. And so, by being a part of this awesome spiritual fellowship, I learned to go back in my history to find out what happened to me and no longer ask myself what's wrong with me. And as a result of doing the 12 spiritual principles, right, the steps, I have and still am achieving an unlimited amount of spiritual awareness, and spiritual breakthroughs. All right. Now, the traditions we talked about yesterday, there are over 129,800 groups around the world since 2021, and we are in over 100 countries. Okay. And so now we're in 2024, that number has definitely increased. So our traditions help us to go anywhere around the world, around the country, to attend an AA meeting and feel at home, because we found out that AA is the heartbeat of our fellowship. And that's what our topic is today in the Day's Daily Reflection. Okay, so let's go. It says, without unity, the heart of AA would cease to beat. This is as Bill sees it from page 125. The person in recovery shares their experience, strength, and hope. Says, without unity, I would be unable to recover in AA on a daily basis. By practicing unity within my group with another AA member and at all levels of this great fellowship, I receive a pronounced feeling of knowing that I am a part of a miracle that was divinely inspired. The ability of Bill W. and Dr. Bob working together and passing it on to other members tells me that to give it away is to keep it. Unity is oneness, and yet the whole fellowship is for all of us. Woo, woo, woo. All right, so y'all know I take a minute and I kind of wait until we can break down these readings by asking you a couple of questions, okay? So, when you think of unity, what comes to your mind? When you think of unity, what comes to mind? Now, for me, when they talk about groups, I've learned to identify something in my past that can help me to understand what they're talking about, okay? So the first group, the first unity I experienced was that of my family. Yes, mother and father, and I have 5 siblings. That was our family group. We were unified. We were in unity. So that makes sense to me. Then I recognized that when I was sent off to school, we were there for a primary purpose, and that was for education. We were unified and going to school, and therefore we had unity centered around education. Okay. When I went to work, right, they had certain traditions and certain guidelines, and we were a part of a group that was unified in employment, if you will. Okay. When we go to our church affiliation, right? One of the things that we understand is that when we are introduced to, majority of the time, religion now, I just have to say it, very few of us understood the spiritual aspect of life, right? And the reason why I say that is because when I look at the world and what's going on today and the amount of religions that have been adopted, and the question becomes, why are there so many religions, right? And when I did my research in my history, and I just text AJ Harding about something I said the other day, and it's something that I heard, and I just want clarification. Is Christianity a religion, right? And so when I think about all of the religion that man have made, because religion is, from what I understand, man-made. And I also understand that the unity of religious groups, right, are challenged in that when a person agrees or don't agree, and when personalities crash, and when people are not getting along, they separate and they start a new religion. That's what I understand. That's what I see. And I think and feel that the one common denominator we all have in common is that there is one creator, right? One God, one, but I don't care what you call it, it is one creator. And so my question becomes, how does religion, right, help to unify the masses of the world, the 6.7 billion people? It can't, because there's so many religions, right? But there's one spirit. There's one spirit. And I learned that God is a spirit who created all of us. So therefore, we are unified, regardless of the vessel, regardless of the situation and circumstances, by one spirit. Yes. Now, I understand and have learned through my spiritual journey and learning about the 12 spiritual principles, tools, resources, how spirituality is the answer. I can and have accepted a religious affiliation, but that is only used for the purpose of enhancing my spirituality. Okay. And so one of the things I like about Alcoholics Anonymous, it was built on a spiritual foundation, not a religious one. Okay. So we have stayed unified in unity for close to 90 years. Okay. I shared yesterday how the Washingtonians and the Oxford group met their demise because they diverted from their primary purpose. The Washingtonians, right, focused on it being a temperance movement. The Oxford group focused on being a religious movement. But Dr. Carl Jones said, nah, nope, that's not the answer. The answer is divine intervention, divine providence, right? Divine blessing, spiritual in nature, to achieve a psychic change in our thinking. No rules, no regulations, right? Spiritual foundation built on just love and unconditional love, relationships that's spiritual in nature, right? And so I understand and I thank God that I focus on human being, right? Yes, we are human, but we are spiritual beings. Okay, so let's dissect this baby. Okay, it says, without unity, the heart of AA would cease to beat. Without unity, the heart of AA would cease to beat. If we, as recovering alcoholics, drug addicts, don't remain unified, the heart of AA will cease to beat. Now, think about it. The Washingtonians and the Oxford group, they almost had the answer. But because of AA's foundation built on spirituality and on spiritual principles, traditions, and concepts, right? We will stay unified. We will, right? When I think about all the groups around the world, when I think about the millions of people who are in recovery and those yet to come, right? It's based on the spiritual aspect of our spiritual fellowship. All right. So if we, AA members, right, don't stay unified, the heart of AA will cease to beat. Okay. So let's see what our person in recovery shares his experience, strength, and hope. Without unity, I would be unable to recover in AA on a daily basis. All right. So let me give you an example. It says without unity, right? I would be unable to recover in AA on a daily basis. Now, even though we only have one day at a time, and that unity of Alcoholics Anonymous dealing with alcoholism, drug addiction, right? We recognize that we have to keep our focus on just for today, right? And so just for today, I was introduced, I was selected for this spiritual pathway by my creator, who I know now, but didn't know then. Okay. And so underneath that parked car 34 plus years ago, after getting high and doing all kind of sexual favors for my own stepson, how humiliating could that be? Right. But for me, it was the best thing that could have ever happened. Now that I know what happened underneath that parked car, where I called out to this God that I heard about and didn't know to take me out this life now or show me a better way. Okay? And so the obsession and the compulsion that plagued me, right? And now knowing it was, right, the disease of alcoholism, right? And so I thought I was a bad person, but I found out I was a sick person who needed to get well based on spiritual principles, spiritual traditions, and spiritual concepts, right? So the fact that I was in my addiction for 14 years, but if I go back in my history, and looking at my upbringing, I was taught how to lie. I was taught how to cheat. I was taught how to steal. I was taught how to be promiscuous. I was taught all of those, right, demonic spirits, and that's what they are. That plague this body, that utilize this vessel to achieve its goal. Okay, and so as a result of learning what happened, right, and me participating to some extent in my demise and being underneath that parked car, I realized that I am not who I thought I was. And it says in our literature that no human power could ever relieve our alcoholism, that God could and would if he was sought. And that's what I mean by, if you haven't had it yet, I had mine. That one and only knee-bowing experience that says I'm done. I'm done with that. And I need to get with this. No matter what is in front of me, it has to be, and it is better than what was behind me. You understand what I'm saying? And so I had a made-up mind because I recognized that I had him make the decision, whoever you are, to keep me here or show me a better way. So the unity began within a spiritual fellowship based on spiritual principles. And it was the fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous. Yes. And every day, one day at a time, I practice these principles in all my affairs. Why? Because one day at a time, I don't know what cards life is going to deal me today. And when I look at what life dealt me in the past and how I reacted to it and how I responded to it, right, was not spiritually constructive or conducive. No, not at all. Right? And so now that I have surrendered all, even as I stumble forward, right? That these spiritual principles, tools, and resources are at my beck and call, one day at a time, no matter what cards are dealt. When I apply these spiritual principles, tools, and resources, I don't give it any power to make me go back to that. Drinking underneath that parked car, but more importantly, to make me change my psychic change that I'm doing to go back to my old way of thinking. Hell to the no. No. And so I understand that by me going to Alcoholics Anonymous Unified Fellowship one day at a time, that I will get what I need spiritually in 1 hour to live peacefully, joyously, happily for the other 23 hours, not giving anything or anybody that much power ever, ever again. Not only to make me go back to drinking and put me underneath that parked car, but to steal my peace, serenity, joy, tranquility. Because whenever I get in the way and I allow things get in the way, it blocks me from my relationship with my God, who I know personally. Okay, so for me, that's what that first sentence means, right? And it says, by practicing unity within my group with other AA members and at all levels of this great fellowship, I receive a pronounced feeling of knowing that I am part of a miracle that was divinely inspired. Okay, that was a long sentence, and let me dissect that baby. Y'all know I like to dissect that baby, right? Right? It says, by practicing unity within my group. All right, so let's go back to the first group you belong to, I belong to, right? And so, in evaluating my family, which is right behind me, right? How did I practice unity, right, in my family? And so we were given chores, we were given lessons, we were taught a way of thinking, a way of acting, right? So that we can help stay unified, okay? But now, when I look at, right, other groups I belong to, and I mentioned the education group, but let's talk about the other groups, right? When I went to the bar, I was a part of a group. When I went to the speakeasy, I was part of a group. When I went to the crack houses, I was part of a group. When I was part of a brothel as a prostitute, I was part of a group, right? And depending upon what the goal was, the important part was to stay unified in order to achieve the outcome we desire. Okay. So being a part of a group, right? Being unified and contributing and practicing what was the order and what to do and what to say and how to act, right? We stayed unified. Okay. So all those other things, right? Does not compare to the unity of this spiritual fellowship, right? And so I understand when it says, right, I practice unity in my group. So I've been a part of my home group for 34 plus years, which is 38 years. And similar to the religion, right, aspect, right? The same thing happens in AA groups, right? Some people, personalities get in the way. People don't like one another, and guess what? They separate and they form another group. But guess what? The goal is to stay sober and help another alcoholic achieve sobriety. So no matter what the separation and how it was caused, right? The main thing it is and focuses on the spiritual aspect of staying sober and helping another alcoholic achieve sobriety. So I know I am an active member in my group and with other AA members, right? And at all levels of this great fellowship. I thank my sponsor, Georgia A., and she's still my sponsor, right? She and Barbara B. and other ladies of the fellowship took me under their wings, and guess what? They were all white. They was all white, but guess what? They showed me, God showed me he is not about gender, he's not about color, he's not about none of that nonsense, right? And so the foundation that these women built for me, right, and I willingly accepted, I was exposed to many levels of the spiritual program within a spiritual fellowship, right? We don't have a president or vice president. We have service boards. We have service committees, right? The main thing is being of service to others, which is why we remain yet unified, because it's based on the spirit of service. We were born to serve, okay? And so I've learned all about the different levels of the fellowship, including world service, right? And so I receive a pronounced feeling of knowing that I am a part of a miracle. See, that's the hit, man. I'm a part of a miracle. Wow. A pronounced feeling. A pronounced feeling. You know, we are emotional human beings, right? A pronounced feeling that I am a part of a miracle that was divinely inspired. Ooh, ooh, ooh. What a difference a day make. What a difference a day make. Oh my God, that is so powerful, right? I receive a pronounced feeling of knowing that I am a part of a miracle that was divinely inspired. How many groups do you belong to right now that you can say undoubtedly that you have a pronounced feeling, right? Knowing that you are a part of a miracle and that group was divinely inspired. Need I say more? Okay, let's go on, because I got to get out of here, right? He says the ability of Bill W. and Dr. Bob working together and passing it on to other members tells me that to give it away is to keep it. All right. So, let me tell you. And doing my research and reading and my, doing the review of all the literature and listening to tapes, these two individuals, and there were more, trust me, there was more. But the focus has been on these two individuals, right? Educated white men who had one common thing, right? They could not stop drinking on their own. Bill W. got sober before Dr. Bob, okay? But when the two got together, it was divinely inspired. It was a divine connection. Trust me. Trust me. Because if it didn't, I wouldn't be here. And these two gentlemen had no idea how divinely inspired they were and were to become. And it wasn't any of their business. They were put together to help each other stay sober and to find other alcoholics to get sober. So what they freely received, they had to freely give in order for them to stay sober. You see what I mean? And even if others didn't stay sober with their efforts, the fact that they were of service helped keep them sober. Our job is to plant the seed. When we plant the seed, we stay sober. We plant the seed by giving away what we have freely received. You are receiving a gift today. You are receiving a seed today. It's none of my business how that seed is nurtured, cultivated, watered, none of that. But I'm giving away what I freely received and hope and pray that if it's God's will, you are one of the chosen ones. So I am living my purpose. I am achieving and walking in my destiny. I am fulfilling my calling that my God selected for me. That's why I can be transparent and authentic. Yes, my story is my story, but all of us have one. And so I freely give it to you so that you can find some similarities and respect the differences. Huh? What do we all have in common? We are human beings living in a sinful world, born with a sinful nature. But it doesn't stop there. No, the purpose of life's journey is to bring us back to the fold of our Creator. We know He knows we need Him, but He wants us to want Him. And He knows when His child is ready. So I thank God that I was chosen and I was ready to receive this miracle. The last thing He says is unity is oneness, and yet the whole fellowship is for all of us. Those who want it. Those who want it. For those who want it. I got to go. I love you. You love me. We are one big family with a great big hug and a kiss from me to you. Won't you say you love me too? I'm a part of the spiritual fellowship. I am a miracle and I know it. And the only way that I can be of service to my God, my Creator, is to give freely what has been freely given to me. I'm going to stay sober one day at a time. I'm going to be of service one day at a time. I am going to help somebody, I don't know who it is, one day at a time. One day at a time, sweet Jesus, that's all I'm asking from you. One day at a time. So, if it's God's will that we are rejoined, I will see you again soon. If not, it was a blessing to know you. And I know I was a blessing to you. Why? Because you're watching. I love you guys. To God be all the glory. Be safe and be kind to one another. Without AA's heartbeat, I would not be sitting here before you today. But without the Spirit of God and His unlimited, unconditional love, none of us would be here. But I'm glad I was chosen. So choose ye today who you will serve. Be blessed. Lord, I love you. I love you.